Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to GEEXX Reads. Today I want to talk about Stormfront by Jim Butcher, an image of which you will see right here with my excellent editing skills. Jim Butcher, Stormfront. This is the first book of the Dresden Files. When was this book published? 1994 or something like that. Well, it says 2000. Anyway, this book is 23 years old. So certain things have changed since then, but I'm digressing, as I tend to do as an old man who rambles. Harry Dresden lives in the city of Chicago. He is Chicago's only practicing wizard. He's listed in the Yellow Pages. For those of you who don't know, before the internet, the Yellow Pages is what we used to do to look up people's phone numbers. So Harry Potter's listed as a wizard, as a profession. What's it say on the back of the cover? Lost items found, paranormal investigations, consulting advice, reasonable rates, no love potions, endless purses, or other entertainment. So he's kind of, this takes place in current era, year 2000 Chicago. He's kind of like a wizard PI, private investigator. Business is not good for Harry. He lives in a basement apartment on the outskirts of Chicago. His only regular paying gig, and it's not even very regular, is that the Chicago PD will occasionally call him to consult on things that are too weird for them. Which is where we're introduced to the woman who works on Chicago, who's the head of Chicago's special division, Caitlin Murphy, whatever the hell her name is. I can't remember. It's been a while. As one might expect, something weird happens, and they call Harry in to investigate a double homicide that has some unusual circumstances. We're also introduced to some other characters in Harry Dresden's universe. There is the local mob boss that Harry has an encounter with. There's a snoopy journalist, investigator type girl who kind of like flirts with Harry and hits on him to try and get leads for weird stories that she can then sell. She's actually kind of interesting. But we also get introduced to someone. Harry has a troubled past. He has apparently done some things which got some other wizards pissed off. He's not the only wizard in the world. He's the only one who's public. Let's put it that way. There is a wizard council of sorts who Harry's on like a double secret probation with them because he's screwed up in the past. I'm giving away a lot more than I intended to. I tend to be very vague, but I'm just trying to set the world, I guess, a little bit. Being the first book in the series, there's a lot of world building in here. And while a lot of people say that the first few books in the series are Jim Butcher's worst writing for the series, I tend to disagree. I think his first few books are one of his best. Some of the better ones in the series, partly because of the way the book is presented. This book, Stormfront, is a noir detective novel. Harry Dresden takes the part of the grizzled, on the outskirts of the rules, private investigator, but he's a wizard instead of a PI. It kind of reminds me of stuff like the Maltese Falcon. It has that old film noir detective feeling to it. And that's kind of what drew me in. This is the book that really drew me into urban fantasy. I found other books in that genre that I liked, the modern urban fantasy genre, but this one I really liked. Part of it is just Harry Dresden is just, he's an underdog, he really kind of is. He's kind of, he's sometimes frequently over his head, manages to pull through by the skin of his teeth. Comes out battered and bruised on the other end, but still alive. He tries to play by certain rules. He tries to, in the way that most like detective noir films do. It's more his own personal code than him actually following the rules. It was just a fun book to read. At one point, they made a TV series out of it. Everyone said it was really good, but it was okay as an adaptation. I don't think they did a good job of really capturing the spirit of the show. I mean, of the book in the show. But again, I digress. There's a lot of things I didn't notice about my first. I've reread this book multiple times. Every time a new book comes out in the series, I burn through the whole series to kind of like refresh my memory and to enjoy the story itself. So I've read this book probably 13 or 14 times because I'm a masochist that way. Something I didn't catch on the first read through, though. Jim Butcher's writing is a bit misogynistic. Not misogynistic, a bit sexist. So that's a criticism I have. Harry Dresden himself, there's some, not him as a character, but there's some definitely male sexist things in the story. They're not really bad, but they exist. And I think, to give credit, although the writing is a bit sexist, I think Jim Butcher does a decent job of addressing it as bad, as not a good thing. I can't tell you exactly what it is without telling you the scene that it involves. There was a scene that involves, some of the scenes that involve Harry and the reporter that flirts with him, Susan. There's a couple scenes involving those two where Harry's behavior isn't sexist. Jim Butcher's writing is sexist, the way it's written and portrayed. I think why I'm giving Jim Butcher credit is that the character of Harry Dresden seems to realize that his behavior is inappropriate. So it's kind of a gray area for that. So yes, it's sexist. It's kind of handled okay. I'm not quite sure. One of the reasons that made me want to review this book, I kind of did a brief review of the series, or someone did a review of the series when the GEEXX pages were still in written form. What made me want to revisit it and talk about it myself is that one or two books came out during COVID when I was locked in my house and didn't leave, and I didn't know that he'd released a couple more books. So I'm gonna go out and buy the two new books that are out, and in preparation for doing so, I'm gonna go back and read all these books again. If that gives you any indication of how much I like these books, yes, I'm going to go reread 15 books in preparation for book 16 and 17. It is what it is. I'm that kind of dude. I can't help it. I've been doing this since, C.S. Lewis, when I was, a little kid and reading books then. So, because of my criticisms, like I said, the criticisms that I have, I didn't notice when I started. So, how do I rate this? I'm going to give it a solid A. Like I said, a lot of people don't necessarily think that this is the better books in the series. But again, for the reasons that I've listed, I am going to disagree. I like the noir detective aspects, which he drifts away from as the series progresses. The first three books definitely, same tone. The tone drifts a bit. It starts, I won't go into it too much here, but I really, really like the first few books in the series. They are my favorites. I still like the rest of the books. Modern urban fantasy, detective noir films. This is a murder mystery with a wizard. So, take it as you will. I've said like, and I gotta take like speech lessons or something. I am not doing myself any credit here. Have I ever? No. So, I really like this book. I give it a solid A, in spite of my criticisms. And as a start to the series, definitely a solid A. It is a good start. There's good world. There is good world building, and the pacing is good. It's a good. So solid A. I would highly recommend the book, even for people who don't like fantasy, because it is a detective story. Murder mystery detective story. As always, thanks for watching. If you like my videos, get help and torture yourself with my other stuff, because I don't know how else to drive engagement. I don't want to promote the stuff because I hate that, but I want people to watch it. So whatever. And until next time, good hunting.